Welcome back to the 628 Dirt Rooster channel, where hobby beekeeping is a way of life. Fixing to try to shake a swarm out of a small oak tree here. It might not be quite as simple as shaking them out because they're on a main branch or right up close to it anyway, on a pretty solid branch, so they might not shake too easy. It's August 15th and I hadn't had a swarm call in a little while, so I'm surprised to have gotten it. We're right here on the highway in a pretty low-lying area in Goshen, Mississippi. This is what the surroundings are. I normally like to show the surroundings just so you see what kind of areas they come to, and 9 times out of 10 when I get a swarm it's in a low-lying area. Right now it's pretty dry, so you probably can't tell too much, but this yard right here is what I call crawfish pile yard. It's one of these kind you gotta stomp down the crawfish piles to cut the grass. So I'm not trying to show everybody's business when I show the surroundings. I'm just trying to show that just the areas they go to. So that's what I got. Let's see how I can get them down. I brought a Coroplast nuke with some drone comb that just came out of the freezer about 2 hours ago. So it's not the cleanest of comb, but it's been frozen, everything in it's dead, so they can start fresh on that. Unfortunately, the only ladder I brought was this little 6-foot A-frame ladder, and if I stood on the very top of it I still wouldn't be able to reach them, and my bucket is going to be too flimsy to knock them off that limb with. So I'm going to see if I can find some rope in the truck and get it up around that tree and put some weight on it. Put a shock load on it. I got a piece of auto upholstery vinyl turned upside down that I'll use for a sheet. I'll set my nuke box almost directly beneath them. That's a stout little tree. My first shake didn't even move them hardly. Let's see what we can do. That ain't working out too good. I don't know if I'm gonna be taking these home with me. I hate to give up, but daggone, I didn't get here till sunset. Well, the ones I put on the box kind of stayed on the box, so let's try the bucket one more time. See what we can get that way. How long they been up here?
Not that long.
Just today?
They was up there yesterday. I got up there last night.
Last night? You don't know where they came from, huh? Oh, out of that building? I don't want to leave that limb. Well, I stirred them up a little bit, but it don't look like they're moving. Let's go look at that building over there and see what they look like. Got one hive in the soffit. And probably another one in the brick. Yeah, you might have. It's either an awful long one or two hives. It's getting so dark you can't hardly see out here, but they're going in the box. Slowly but surely. I just taped that broom to another paint pole handle and sprayed Be Quick all over the bristles and hung it up in there. Run them towards the box. They're getting right up to it, but only about half of them's in it, so I know the queen's not in there. She's gonna be stubborn. My plan half worked. I got them down a limb about 6 or 8 inches closer to the box, but they're still not all going in. There's a good chunk of them in the box. I don't know if you could tell from the way when I first got here they were sagging about 10 or 12 inches. I wish these were down another limb I'd get them, but man, I just can't reach them. So I drove a bunch of them in the box. Now I'm fixing to take that broom down and hose it down real good with some more Be Quick and scoot it up a little closer to them. See how many more I can run that direction. I don't know if you can see that broom glistening from here, but it's saturated with Be Quick. Just stirring them. There's not much places for them to run other than up that side, but they're not going that direction. They're moving, they just ain't moving fast. I'm gonna give them another 15 minutes or so. I'm gonna go to the house. See how dark it is. I think I got the majority of them. There's still a whole bunch up there though. I'm gonna try to sweep them down one more time if I can do it without getting popped too many times. They ain't liking me right now. I think the majority of these are gonna have to stay. Well, you know me, I can't leave well enough alone. So now I'm knocking them down in clumps and letting them go to the box. Being nighttime, they're not flying as much, so instead of flying right back up to that limb, they're crawling to the nearest smell good source. I can't give up now when I'm this close. Well, I got all but a couple of hundred that I just can't get with the broom or anything. Another sting in the armpit. Well, you can't say I'm not persistent. I got them. I'm gonna smoke them in the box and take them home. Hey. Oh my goodness. How do you even start out on something like this? I need my truck. I didn't take that swarm out last night. And they didn't really take to the box. They can't decide if they want the box or the ice chest. So I've left myself a mess. I gotta try and find the queen. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, boy, what is your main malfunction? Leaving that bunch of bees in your truck last night. She's either on the box or on the ice chest. I'm hoping she's on the box, but they didn't take to it last night, so I'm not hopeful that they'll stay in that. So as soon as they gather up somewhere, I'm gonna have to put them in a box and lock them down. What a way to start a Saturday morning. Yeah, she's in that cluster on that ice chest. Now they're all fanning at the ice chest, and the rest of them's headed that direction. I almost wouldn't mind if they took off and hung out in a tree for a little while. I can come back and get them later. Hurry up and gather up somewhere so I can pick you up again. It's odd that they won't take to that box. That's a full box of drawn out comb. You'd thought they'd have gone right to that. Apparently Igloo's a better draw. Maybe the bright blue color on there. Well, I had to quit filming for a bit while I fooled with something else, but man, they all went in the air. I thought I was gonna have to go chase them out of another tree somewhere, and then every one of them clustered back on the front of that little nuke box I had sitting on the tailgate of my truck. This is probably a good hour and a half later, but the queen is in that nuke box, locked in. As you can see, I got the entrance blocked off, and it's got a screen bottom on it and a feeder with some sugar water in it. And once I knew for sure I had her in the box, I went ahead and closed the box, and I set it off to the side over there actually, and all the ones that were in the air, which is all these right here, were lost. So they didn't know where I set the box, and they all clustered right here. So I just moved the box back over here so they'll follow the scent. That's it for that long drawn out swarm capture. Thanks for watching. We walked back here this morning and this is what we find. Bees are everywhere. Where do you think they went?
Well, they came out of that tree from yesterday back to here.
This has been a miserable failure of swarm capture. Well, sometimes I mess up so bad I just don't want to show anybody, but I learn from my mistakes, so maybe you can too. I set that swarm box over here yesterday morning, and they landed over here on this porch. The bulk that I didn't get in the box landed on this porch. So I moved the box over here to this porch. What I had closed up in there, or what I thought I had closed up in there, I moved to this porch with the door shut, thinking I had the majority of the swarm captured along with the queen. So I come back this morning to find the box totally empty. And bees all over the porch like this. And as I look at this box, which is one I borrowed from my dad, I realize that they were able to, after I closed this off, they just came out that hole in the bottom right there. So I lost this swarm. I'm gonna call it a loss because there's a few bees on the porch here, but I don't. There's not enough to make a colony, and I don't see a queen in them anywhere. And there's a few thousand bees in the air that don't belong to any of these boxes here. So that was, what, 3 or 4 hours of my time, and $50 worth of gas. Well, heck, the queen may still be here somewhere. Here's the bulk of them in an old box I left laying down here on the ground. Golly, it just goes on. I might catch them after all. Well, I've been studying them for a good little while now, and I'm not so sure there's a queen in there. I just can't spot her. There's still a few thousand bees in the air, and I gotta quit and go get ready for church, so I'm gonna let them do what they're gonna do, and if they're here when I get back, good. If they're not, then oh well. Fast forward about 9 hours. It's been storming most of the day. I propped this bottom board up just to protect them if they were going to stay, and they didn't. So I see some activity on this nuke box again. Maybe they went back in it. Some did. That's not the whole swarm. And I know these bees aren't just robbing that box out because there's nothing to rob. That might be some of them there on the corner of that box. But the bulk of them are gone, so I'll just have to keep an eye out. Hopefully they don't establish a hive under this old mobile home. I have to do a cutout then. There you go. Swarm capture failure number, I think that's the second one I've screwed up over several years, so that's not too bad. Alright, so this last minute 50 seconds is just video that I couldn't bring myself to delete. I got a Breno TLC Pro 200 time-lapse camera that I've been playing with, and this was actually, I think, the first thing I ever filmed with it. And if you're watching the count there at the bottom, you can tell I kind of segmented it. What I was doing is cutting out the dead time where we weren't really doing anything. So you can do some pretty cool stuff with it, and at this point I hadn't really figured out the capture rate and the playback frame rate, you know, what makes a really fluid, nice looking time-lapse video, but I've kind of gotten that down a little bit. So hopefully I've got some upcoming time-lapse videos that I'll be posting, and if I can attach some music to it, that'll make it a little nicer, so it's not like watching a silent movie. But as far as the box goes, you know, the failure totally is on me. I didn't check my equipment out. I showed up tired after a long day's work, wasn't really thinking clearly. If I had been thinking clearly, I would have backed my truck under that limb and put the ladder in the bed of the truck. And hindsight being 20/20, I was kicking myself as I drove down the road later. But I did wind up with about 1,000 or 1,500 bees staying in the nuke box, so I transferred some brood frames from the box next to it into that box. One frame with older cap brood that was ready to emerge to get the numbers up, and another frame with eggs in it so they'll make their own queen. So it was a loss, but I did go ahead and establish another colony out of it. And thank y'all for watching, and see you on the next one.